Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Stars and Scrubs Fantasy Show, sponsored by SportsTalkLine. I am your host, Trevor Stewart. We're going to dig into a few North free agents from the NFL offseason and their fits with their new teams. We're going to start off with the Saints, who are sticking with the Thunder and Lightning model of running backs. This time, though, instead of Mark Ingram, they've inked Latavius Murray. Murray seems like a great fit here. He's very similar to what Mark Ingram did for them in that goal line, kind of get the ugly yards role. So I think he's going to be a great fit for the Saints. My only question is why the Saints didn't want to re-sign Ingram. But when we look at the numbers, Ingram is in his 8th season in the year, Latavius Murray only in his 5th. So maybe the Saints are thinking a little less tread on the tires. But regardless, they want Latavius Murray to fill that role. We've seen that when Murray gets the chance to be the feature back, he can definitely shoulder the load. God forbid Alvin Kamara ever gets hurt. But if he does, Latavius Murray is more than capable to step in. Latavius Murray's touchdown totals over the last 3 years, 12, 8, and 6. So he's got a nose at the goal line, and he can get it done if he has to step in that lead back role. Love this move for the Saints. If we're looking at it from a fantasy perspective, we know the Saints are going to score points. That's just a given. That offense with Sean Payton and Drew Brees has always been able to score points. So he'll have those chances at the goal line to punch those easy ones in. So I'm pretty optimistic that he'll have not only just handcuff value to Kamara, but he'll have standalone value this year too. So for team fit, I'm going to give him a 5. I think this is exactly what the Saints have been doing with the two-headed monster at running back, and they just went a little younger. So I like it a lot. Durability, I'm going to give him a 5. Latavius Murray's only missed 2 or 3 games over his 5-year career in the NFL. So I think he is more than durable and going to be able to handle the load. From a volume standpoint, I'm going to give him a 3 only because I think Kamara is the lead back and I think Drew Brees is still going to throw the ball a lot. His ceiling is limited because I think this is still Drew Brees' offense. I still think it runs through the passing game and through Kamara's ability to run or catch out of the backfield. So for projection, I'm going to give him a 3.5. I think that while he may not get as much volume, it's what you do with that volume. And because he can be that goal line vulture at times, I think he's going to have enough opportunities to punch in easy scores and rack up some fantasy points. So on our scale of star to scrub, I'm going to put him at I'm interested. I know what he's going to bring me. I think that if Kamara were to ever get hurt, he would enter the star territory potentially on a team that scores a lot of points. So if you're looking at Latavius Murray this season, you could even think about drafting both Kamara and Latavius Murray and owning the Saints backfield. That wouldn't be a bad idea because Latavius Murray would be at the very least an elite handcuff. And if Kamara were to ever go down, he would be in star territory. All right, cue the music. I'm coming home, tell the world I'm coming home. Classic Puff Daddy, P. Diddy? What is he now? I don't know. Whatever, Desean Jackson is coming back to Philly, everybody. And I think it's a great fit. The Eagles have a couple great receivers in Alshon Jeffrey and Zach Ertz. Technically a tight end, but a pass catcher nonetheless. And the sometimes good, sometimes not so good, little inconsistent Nelson Aguilar. Now you add Desean Jackson, who gives the Eagles an element that they haven't had, and that's the guy who can just take the top off of a defense. Desean Jackson has that elite speed and can strike at any moment for a 75-yard touchdown. That's always been his strength. That's always been his go-to. If you were to look up in the Urban Dictionary, boom or bust fantasy player, you would see Desean Jackson's picture next to it because he is the epitome of what that means. You will see a game where Desean Jackson has 3 catches for 30 yards, and you'll see a game where he has 5 catches for 150 and 2 touchdowns. That is Desean Jackson in a nutshell. You have to know what you're getting into when you own him, but as a fantasy owner or someone who's taken a shot in DFS, he's one of those guys that can win you a lot of money, can win your league, can win a matchup, because you never know when he's going to go off. He's not a huge touchdown scorer overall, though. In his 11-year career, he's only had 2 seasons of 9 touchdowns. But with those 2 seasons of 9 touchdowns or more, there's also been only 2 other seasons besides those seasons where he scored more than 4 touchdowns. So again, his whole career is boom or bust. Jekyll and Hyde. So if you're getting into the Desean Jackson business, know what you're getting into, but he's not a bad player to keep an eye on. And I think he's going to be a better real-life player for the Eagles, maybe than a fantasy player. So for team fit, I'm going to give him a 5. I think he fits exactly what the Eagles are missing, and it gives them an element that they haven't had in an offensive weapon. Durability-wise, Desean Jackson is a major risk. 2013 was the last time that he played a full 16-game slate. So he has a penchant for getting hurt. Again, that's part of the boomer bust nature of Desean Jackson is his health as well. There will be times where you will be without Desean Jackson if you have him on your roster. So just know that going in. Volume, I'm going to give him a 3. I'm just not sure how Carson Wentz is going to connect with him going on the deep ball. He tweeted that he's really excited about it, but I need to see it first. So I'm going to put him at a 3. And again, volume isn't always an indicator of projection, but it is kind of the risk estimator of if a player is going to be worth rostering. That being said, I think I'm going to put his projection also at a 3. Again, Desean Jackson can strike at any time. He's quicker than a hiccup, and he can bust 70-yard touchdown if you turn around to put your hand in the chip bowl. So knowing that, you have to temper your expectations, though, again, knowing that there are some games that he will completely disappear or just be unavailable because he's injured. On our scale of star to scrub, because of all the injury concerns and the volume concerns and if he will hook up with Carson Wentz, I'm going to say for now, meh, but I could change time interested. For now, we'll put him at a meh with an asterisk of stay tuned, check back with me later. All right, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to our final player this week that we're going to break down, and that is Ryan Fitzpatrick, who has almost completed his AFC East team tour. New York Jets, check. Buffalo Bills, check. Miami Dolphins, check. All we need now is for Tom Brady to go down with a season-ending injury and the Patriots to trade for him, and we have ourselves AFC East bingo. But until that happens, we're going to have to settle for 3 out of 4. Fitzpatrick is a sign that the Dolphins are going full rebuild. And as we've seen in the last decade or so, Miami has just not been a good football team. It's a great place to party, get a little sun, win football games, not so much. So if we're looking at that division, the Dolphins, I think, are going to finish last in that division. And I think they're okay with that. I think this is full tank, full rebuild mode. And Ryan Fitzpatrick is that bridge quarterback that's good enough to win games and keep it interesting because, let's face it, with Ryan Fitzpatrick, it's never boring. He's either throwing for 500 yards and 4 touchdowns or he's throwing 5 interceptions. That is Ryan Fitzpatrick's career. 4 times in his career, he's thrown for over 3,000 yards in a season. But when we look at his totals, his career totals, 190 touchdowns, 148 picks. Again, that is who he is. Last season, he started out on fire. I had him rostered and was thinking, at some point, the magic is going to run out, and it did. But if you're a fantasy owner, you might just keep him in your watch list because when he gets hot, it is a thing of beauty. It is Fitz magic, and then it turns to Fitz tragic pretty quick. But ride the wave while you got him. Verbal meme, if you don't love me at my Fitz tragic, you don't deserve me at my Fitz magic. So if you're going to roster Fitzpatrick, you better know what you're getting into. Team fit, I'm going to give him a 4. I think this is a good fit for the Dolphins. They don't have a ton of weapons on offense, but Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to sling it around. He might get some good garbage time stats. So not a bad fit, especially for a team that is committing to the full rebuild. Durability of 5. Ryan Fitzpatrick has missed a lot of injuries. He's missed some games to He hasn't missed a lot of games due to injury. He's missed some games with being stuck on the bench after throwing 5 interceptions. But being injured is not one of the reasons Ryan Fitzpatrick misses games. For volume, I'm going to give him a 5. The Dolphins are the worst team in that division. I can guarantee they're going to be playing from behind a lot this season, which makes for Ryan Fitzpatrick to just go into just screw it. I'm going to throw this ball up and hope someone catches it mode. And you know what? It all counts for the same amount of fantasy points. So he's going to put up some numbers. It's just playing the matchups a little bit. So projection, I'm going to give him a 3.5. There would be those weeks where he does throw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. And you're going to have to watch out for those weeks or those matchups where he's more likely to throw 5 interceptions. So again, know who you're rostering, know the risks and rewards that come with it. If you're asking me stars to scrub, if you're asking me our scale of star to scrub, I'm going to say, if you're desperate, if you like a matchup, what the heck, throw him in there, especially as a DFS dirt cheap play. Might be worth it some week. But again, know the risks of Ryan Fitzpatrick. Fitzmagic can turn to Fitztragic in the blink of an eye. Thanks for tuning in this week to the Stars and Scrubs Fantasy Show. Follow the @SportsTalkLine Twitter handle, @SportsTalkLine. Follow my Twitter handle, @TPStewart8. And my Instagram is @TPS_SportsTalkLine. We'll see you next episode. Thanks for tuning in.